Hey everybody, welcome to this week's live stream. I hope you're all doing great today. So we are going to do fire and ice. I just randomly thought of this. Throw together some reds and some blues and see what we get. I don't know, I guess we already did kind of a snowy, icy thing. And I don't know, I think it occurred to me, I was just like scrolling Instagram and I didn't see like a fire and ice, but I saw somebody who did something with reds and I'm like, oh, it'd be cool is to try and put them together. So this one's going to be a little bit kind of complicated. We're going to do a few different things, but overall not that hard or anything like that. It'll be pretty simple. Probably going to be kind of quick today because I'm probably just going to do one batch, and it'll, once we get everything ready, it'll be kind of over. But should be pretty cool. I'm hoping that these turn out as cool as I'm hoping, in my brain. Let's see here. Oh, there's a good emoji. Yeah, I know. I was like, let's fire it up, and I'm like, I didn't mean to kind of make a pun on that, but I was like, oh, I wonder if there's a nice emoji. I didn't find one. So that's a good one. Let's see here. So I think that Harold, you got your blanks, and they look awesome. Sweet. I can't wait to see what you guys do with the blanks this month. Pretty good blanks, I think. I don't know. I enjoyed them. I'm really looking forward to seeing the 7-color blanks turned up too. So I'll be keeping my eyes peeled on your Instagram. So let's see here. Mark's working on Christmas presents, trying to carve out a Texas-shaped catch-all. That's cool. I'm guessing you meant tray. That's cool. Actually, that would be a pretty cool... Oh, that's a good idea. I think it'd be kind of cool. It just made me think like it'd be kind of cool to do like a Nevada one, and then make it out of resin. So if I could make like a Nevada thing, whatever, and then make a mold of it, that would be kind of a cool thing. And the other one that came to my mind is like the shape of Lake Tahoe. That would be really cool. I think I thought of that a while ago, but anyway, pretty neat. So let's see, I think Joseph, yours is in the mailbox. Go get it. So, pretty cool. Welsh Piper's in the house. Yeah, life tends to get in the way. I hear that. But, we got the replays if you want to, catch any specific things. And, but you're always welcome, of course, to come during the live. Let's see here. All right, so speaking of Christmas presents, I got one that I'm going to share real quick that I was working on. I mentioned it last week. I don't think she's watching or anything like that, so I don't feel like this is giving anything away. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law are both Ravens fans. They used to live in Baltimore for a while. So I decided with one of my new Nevermore blanks, I would make her, she doesn't have one of my fountain pens yet, so I thought I'd make one for her. Her husband has one, but I'm pretty happy with this thing. It turned out pretty good. I really like this blank. Like I said, I redid the Nevermore. I had Nevermore blanks before, and they were just black, purple, and white. And that kind of was a catch-all for the Rockies and the Ravens. But to be honest, the old ones really didn't capture either of those teams really well. So I decided to split them. And you guys probably remember that for the Colorado, I did purple, black, and silver. And I really like that blank. I think it's better for the Rockies. Like that's like their hat kind of thing. But the silver makes it like you don't have to be making a Rockies pen or whatever. It just makes it look like a really good blank. And then with this one, I decided just the only difference was I wanted to add that gold. So I added that kind of gold color. And like this looks like the Ravens. Black, white, and purple was fine, but it just wasn't like super awesome. This, I feel like, is, if you're a Ravens fan, is probably pretty good. Pretty good. Just a little bit of that gold. So it's a 13 millimeter, and then I got a silver nib. I actually have a black, I don't know what, it's some sort of coating, black nib, and that's cool too, but I like the silver to just kind of break up, the kind of dark colors. So pretty happy with this. I don't know. A lot of times I put roll stops on. I'm kind of just over this pen. I don't know. Do you guys ever get that? You're like, okay, I've done enough on this particular project. So anyway, just wanted to share that. The Nevermore blanks are up on my website if anybody's interested in grabbing any of those. And I also wanted to share, I got a new one coming out. So if you're not on the email newsletter list, head over to my website and sign up. There's a little sign up thing at the, I think at the bottom of the, I'm going to go, I don't even know. That's not my website. Let's go see where the email thing, I think there's just one at the bottom of the, yeah. So if you just go to the home page, I'll just drop a link real quick to my website. And if you just scroll all the way down, you can sign up for the email newsletter. This is going to be the next drop. So I'll be dropping this blank next week. And the reason I mentioned the email newsletter is that's where you'll find the discount. Whenever I do this is a brand new design. So when I drop brand new designs, I usually do a little bit of a sale. So if anybody's interested, this is the Marlins, the Miami Marlins colors. But I love this blank, like these colors like that, you know, I don't know how many Marlins fans there are on the planet, but probably not that many. So that's why I never made one before. But the other problem was their colors were like all over the place. It was like a rainbow, but they kind of changed them not too long ago, I don't think. Maybe when they moved to Miami, I don't know. But they kind of changed their color scheme, and I love these colors together. They're really fun. It's kind of like a neon. So anyway, those are going to be dropping next week. I'm super excited about those guys. Like I said, I'm finally like over the crest of the mountaintop, and I'm able to like add blanks and move on and not be like completely stressed out about everything. So pretty cool about pretty excited about that coming next week. So let's come back to reality for this week. So fire and ice. Obviously, like I said, I want to go for like reds and blues. And I say multiples because what we're going to do is we're not going to just grab like a blue mica powder and be like, okay, there's a blue and a red mica powder and be like, okay, you know, let's see what we can make. We're going to mix things up. We're going to do a lot of different stuff, actually. I need to find something that I thought of. So what I plan to do is we are still going to pull out some mica powders, but you guys know that I like to add sometimes a little bit of transparent color. So just, do like a dirty pour where you got you use the Alumilite dyes. So like, the translucent Alumilite dyes. So we're going to pull those out. And you make a cup of that, and then you make a cup of whatever else the other color is. It looks like this thing is stuttering or something. I don't know. Let me just look at something. I just want to look at. The internet here is just stupid. Might not be the internet, but I'm going to do a real quick. Okay, we're fine on the download speeds. Plenty fine, actually. Come on, get to the upload. Sorry guys, there's a little pause in the action, and then we'll go back to explaining what's going on. I keep seeing things like stutter, and I don't like, oh God, that's, okay, so our internet speeds are fine. Okay, fine on that end, okay, it must just, The other thing that I noticed, I use Chrome browser for stuff, and I think Chrome is just not very good. I already know that it's like bloated. But anyway, I like to have a translucent color. You mix up a cup of that, and then you have like your, like mica powder or whatever it may be. Usually it works really well with mica powders and the translucent. And what you do is you dirty pour those before you pour. So what we're going to do is we're basically just going to create two colors, or two cups of color, right? Red and blue. But what we're going to do is we're going to put a couple different shades. First thought in my brain was the translucent and mica. That was just kind of an obvious one. And what that does is it's going to give you a lot more depth. It's going to give you different shades of color with the mica. And I mean, even if you just add dye to a mica powder, even that is really good. Like that's going to add a little bit of extra to your, and I'm talking like the translucent dyes, not the like opaque dyes. Even that just changes things up a little bit with your color. So if you're looking for something where you don't want to just use an off-the-shelf mica powder, if you're going for like an orange, drop some of this, Alumilite orange dye in there. Not much, like a drop or two, depending on how much you've got in the cup. But even that alone can kind of change your color. But if you do the dirty pour thing, then you've got more like a clump of the translucent color next to your mica. But we're going to take it a step further. We're going to go for 3 colors. All right, so we're going to do 2 mica powders in the translucent in each cup. And then to top it all off, we're going to split cup it. We're just going to dump it. And hopefully, you know, when you do the split cup, if you don't move it around or do anything, if you're just kind of pouring it straight down into the tube, you can get pretty decent. It's not going to be perfect, obviously. There's no way to do that unless you were using like a 3D printed something structure to keep things separated and be perfect. But if you just dump it, and even if you had just 2 cups, you can kind of do the same thing. I like the split cup because it takes everything out of the equation with my hands or brain. But if you just dump it, it tends to actually produce a blank that's got kind of 2 vertical pores. It's dumping down in and then just kind of flowing up. You can get even better things, like I think that you could probably, well, sometimes you can get kind of a pretty decent separation in square block molds too. It just kind of depends on how everything's going, but you can do that way too. I think the round tubes are a little bit easier to just kind of keep it flowing up. So fire and ice, it should be kind of a fun blank, I think. I don't know. It's kind of a different idea, just a random one. Doesn't have anything to do with the holidays or anything that's going on, but it should be fun. So for this blank, let me pull out my colors here. One thing I'm also excited about, Turner's Warehouse added more colors for my candy. And I picked one up that's really interesting. I'm going to share it with you guys. It was kind of a weird looking color. I was like, I'm going to buy that while I'm buying things. Let's see here. So I liked this idea. Look at this. Yeah, I think I like that one better. And I want to look at, I don't really think there's a big difference between those two. Sorry guys, I'm just picking up, let's see, fire and ice. Just making sure that I pick the right, I didn't really choose colors. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the overhead. Is Amy in the house? Someone left the door unlocked. Oh man. Oh, I got my truck back finally. Oh my God, it's been like 3 weeks. Probably a couple weeks ago, I mentioned that I had a rat in my truck, or not in it, but like in the engine compartment. Ugh, it was not fun. So I had to take my truck in to get wiring that was chewed up fixed and a couple other things. I finally got my truck back and I'm so happy. I've been driving my dad's truck. It's fine. It ain't my truck, you know. So I'm happy to have my Tacoma back. Oh, Marquetta's road tripping. Well, be safe on that road trip. Let's see here. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. Any questions? Okay. You're at the wood turning club meeting. Oh man. That's fun. You can just kind of peek on your phone every once in a while. I like that. Sorry guys, I'm just scrolling down making sure I'm not missing anything. All right. Okay, I don't think I missed anything. All right, so what I'm going to do, what I decided to go for with these colors, I'm going to go to the overhead view. I decided I'm going to pick these 2 P-Town colors, and I think, I don't know if there's really an equivalent eye candy to this specifically. It's kind of a different powder size or something. It's a little bit different than most of the things that I've seen. I don't know. Eye candy's got like one of everything, so maybe they do have one. I'm just not aware of what it might be. I really like the Bahama blue, so that's going to be kind of our lighter blue, and then the rainbow blue, which you could just use dark ocean blue. I'm kind of guessing it's about like exactly the same thing. So a little bit darker, a little bit lighter, and then we're going to mix a cup of the ocean blue translucent dye. So that'll be our blue color. And then for our red, let's put these on the side. So there's literally one called Fire Orange, and it's a little bit kind of like a little bit darker. I might even add, let me hold on a minute. Let me look at, I bought a bunch of oranges and I just want to look and make sure. What I want is, oh, that might be actually better. I want a redder orange. That's what I'm going for. And I thought, well, I'm a fire orange. That sounds like kind of fiery. Oh no, I think we're gonna go with this one. Khaki, K-A-K-I. Khaki. We're gonna do this one. So it's a little bit redder. That's what I was looking for. So hopefully that'll come through. So this is the khaki on the, well, whatever side it is for you, this one, where my finger is. This is the fire orange. It's a really good color too, but if I was going for craziness, we'd put like 50 different shades together and see what happens. But I don't want to do that. Too many cups just makes my head hurt. So that's what we're gonna do. We'll do the khaki. Obviously, we're gonna go with Yamagata because that's my favorite red ever. And then what I'm gonna do for the red color, so the red translucent dye, one thing that I've found, and I really feel like, I don't know, I'm pretty good with colors for the most part. One thing that I find is a lot of the Alumilite colors, well, I'm just looking to see. I find that especially the red, green, and blue, you can have different shades of these colors, right? Like there's different shades of blue. We got a couple different blues over there. What I find is they're red, green, and blue. They're like on the cooler end of the spectrum. So they're like more in like towards the blue side. So if you just add red, it's kind of like a cooler red. So what I like to do to bring it more kind of into that like fire engine red, you know, into the more yellow end of the spectrum for this red, I like to add a little bit of the orange. You could add even yellow, but orange and red together usually works pretty well. Like I said, yellow would do good too. I don't know why I don't think of that, but anyway, so we're going to kind of put a drop of each of those guys in with our, you know, whatever cups. So the way this is going to work, we're going to have 3 cups for each color, basically. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then what we're going to do is we're going to dump all 3 into, you know, we're going to have blue on this side and red or whatever it is. We're dumping them all in, and that's, you know, called a dirty pour, where you're just mixing all the colors together. And then when you pour it out, they'll all kind of just be mixed up a little bit. They're blobby. You could stir it or do stuff to make it a little bit more cohesive, but I kind of like to just let it be, typically. Now, I wanted to share a color that is kind of cool. So I have no clue. Why do they have to make these names? Kamen Budokai. Whatever. I don't even know what that means. But this is kind of an interesting looking purple. A little bit different than, have I opened it? It's kind of a weird purple shade, and it almost has like, are you guys familiar with like the Beetle Blue? It's almost like that, where it's like kind of this weird 2-color thing where it kind of looks blue, but there's purple in there. I don't know. So we're not going to mess with it today, but that's something that's on my radar to play with and kind of see how it looks. Should be kind of fun. So another new random color at Turner's Warehouse. I'm sure I don't know if that's like new to eye candy necessarily, but I hadn't seen it before. So I thought, let me pick it up. I made a big purchase the other day. End of the year expenses. Buy stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to put our little cup to the side here. Let me see here if I missed anything. Those Shout Darren colors, nice. Received the watermelon right before we left. So, oh, nice! I can't wait to see what you make with that watermelon. 50 Shades of. Yep, it is very illegal. Do I sell the orange? No, I just no, I don't sell any of those things. It would be a complete pain for me to do 3D printed things. I just found this on Thingiverse or wherever, and I just 3D printed it out. You can find those. I don't do any selling of 3D prints. It's just too much. Honestly, the cost of this would be not that much. But for me to have to do all that stuff, I'd have to charge, more than this is worth, kind of thing. And then the shipping would be like $10. And it's like, no, if you need things 3D printed, what I recommend you do is And I know it really is dependent on where you live and some of the resources your town may have, but a lot of times your library has 3D printers, and this is just a standard 3D printer. You know, you don't need anything special. But a lot of times they'll have like a little tech center that has 3D printers, and you can have somebody there probably do it for free, possibly. You know, the other way to go is locally. If you have a maker space, and you can just search the internet for maker spaces. Guarantee you somebody at the makerspace will make that for you. You just need to look on like Thingiverse. I think they call it split cups. I think that's why I name it that. Yeah, just look up split cups on like Printables or Thingiverse or Yegi, or I mean, there's millions of these things that have like free 3D print models, and then you can get your own made. And if you have a 3D printer, that's even easier, you know. So, all right, let's get a cup out and let's get some resin flowing. First thing, actually, before we do any resin flowing, let's make some notes here so I know what I'm doing. So this mold holds about 540 grams. We're going to have a lot of different cups and we're pouring them all together. So I'm going to add more than I would need normally. Mainly because there's going to be residue in the cup, and when you're doing the dirty pour, you don't want to just dump it to get like mix up all your cups and then dump them all together. It's just going to homogenize. It's just going to blend all together. So before you do that, you have to wait till the end of the working time, you know, closer to the end of the working time, to so that the resin's thicker. Let me get a drink. That way it doesn't all just bleed together and be the. But you don't want to wait until like when you would pour it necessarily. So you got to kind of find a good number. So I'm probably going to pour them together around 90 degrees. It's about 68 degrees in my shop right now. So the cooler the shop is, the lower this number can be usually. But I'm going to wait till 90, pour them all together. But the thing is, because you're waiting till the end, I don't want to be messing around scraping cups and doing all this stuff, like, you know, wasting time necessarily. So it's going to be a simple pour, which is nice. I'm just going to do one at a time, fill them all the way up and go. But I'm doing 12, and you know, you're waiting till the end of the working time. You need to find the number where you're going to be able to get everything done and get it poured before it's getting too thick. So I think if I pour all the colors together into this cup at like 90, and I'm going back to the reason that I'm going to add extra resin is because I don't want to be sitting there scraping and getting every little drop. And I don't want it to be low. I don't want to short the mold. So I'm just going to add some extra resin so that I don't have to worry about that stuff. Sometimes it's good to waste resin so that you're not wasting even more resin, you know, during the pour. So today is 12/13. We're doing fire and ice. I thought that was a pretty fun idea. So we're doing, so this mold holds 540 grams. I'm going to just jump it up to 560. And then we got 6 colors technically that we're doing. And we're just going to break it into, you know, 560 divided by 6, whatever that is. It's around 93, 94. And you could adjust these numbers, you know, with each other if you wanted just a little bit of the transparent thing or, you know, whatever. You can play around with all these numbers. A lot of times it's easy just to split it in 6 and move on, you know. So we're doing Yamagata. We're doing Khaki, K-A-K-I. And then we're doing transparent red. Let's see here. We got rainbow blue. That's a P-Town color. And we got Bahama blue, another P-Town color. So that's a fun mix. We're doing half P-Town, half ICANN. You know, out of all the ones that I've tried, and I haven't tried many of the, there's billions of mica powder brands out there, so I'm sure there's perfectly good ones other than these. But out of the ones that I've tried, I really like Eye Candy and P-Town. They cover all the bases. They're good products. They're good companies and people. So I don't need other things really. And then we're doing transparent blue. And we're doing ocean blue. Let's see here. So we'll do. Okay, so I got my notes here. For the powders, we're going to do a half teaspoon of each one. And we're going to dirty pour at 90. Let's see, is that right? 90? Yeah, that's fine. 90 degrees. I could maybe even go a little bit lower than that. But I think we'll just leave it at 90 and see how this all goes. And then we're going to pour. I mean, my pouring number is I'm shooting for like 95. That's a pretty good number usually for like mica powders and stuff. Sometimes with the solid color opaque dyes and stuff, I go higher. They just tend to bleed a little bit more together if that's all that you're putting in there. Not a problem if you're doing like one, opaque pigment or, like pigment paste or whatever you want to call it, liquid pigment. If you're doing like a liquid pigment, like one color and then mica, that's usually not a big deal. It's just certain opaque colors tend to want to bleed a little bit more than others. So going to a higher number temperature, before you pour, sometimes can help with any of that kind of, bleeding issue. It also depends on how you're pouring it and doing, there's a few factors involved, but is there any other numbers that I need? And so I will not be, we don't want to stir it because we're trying to go for like kind of a 50-50 split kind of deal with the colors, So we need 560, let's see here. And then I also add a little extra because there's gonna be some left over in this cup when I'm dumping it into the smaller ones. So I even go a little higher than 560. So I usually add about 10 grams extra just to account for residue that's left over that I can't really scrape out of this thing. And let's see, we got 100 grams in each one of these cups. Just choosing which cups I want to use. Whoa, getting a little excited there. So we got our cups ready. I think we're ready. Let's see, I'm going to stop before I start mixing and doing stuff because I'll have to kind of focus on that. I'm going to look at the thingy. You can't pronounce me purple. I got to be honest, that's the one drawback to Eye Candy. Like, I mean, like 50%, at least 50% of their colors. I'm like, whatever it is, I don't know. From a marketing perspective, it may be kind of fun. It's, maybe we were talking about it, but at the same time, you're like, I can't even tell you what the name of this color is. So good luck. Curse on somebody's family. Yep, I think so too. At least in some language, maybe not Japanese. Let's see here. Calvin made it. Nice. I got home from Woodcraft. That's fun. That's a good Saturday. Oh yeah, there's the silicone ones. That's true. And that's another way to go. They're easier to clean out a little bit. I like to just let it. The reason I like these 3D printed ones, they're rigid. If you did need to stir, it's a little easier. It doesn't just bend when you pick it up. A couple splitting hairs, it's not a big deal. But the thing that I like about the hard cups, I don't tend to really want to have to clean out those silicone ones, but because they're so soft, they move, and then the stuff kind of breaks off. This thing, once it dries in there, it's not going anywhere. It's really not going to break off or get into the next pour kind of thing. And there's no way to really clean out all the stuff. It's really hard to clean out the whole thing. So I just let it, build up in there, and eventually you're gonna have to throw it away because the excess is like a over pour cup kind of thing. So that's why I like those. They're simpler, a little bit more wasteful, but easier to deal with. But that's a good point. The silicone ones work pretty well. Let's see here. Okay, let's get going here. Let's get rolling. Here's an interesting thing. So I use this little cup to like when I'm mixing. A lot of times I'll just leave the stir stick in cups. If I'm just picking one cup up at a time, that's fine. If you have to do 2 cups and you're pouring at the same time, there's no way to hold the sticks. They're just falling out and doing all this stuff. So if you're doing multiple cups pours at a time or something like that, then you got to put the stick down. So I just put the the stir sticks in this thing, and I've had this for like years at this point. And it's kind of an interesting thing because it's not like I add any significant amount of resin. It's just whatever's, and I wiped the stick off before I put them in here. So it's like just drips of resin, but it's already up to like here. So this someday I'll probably turn this and it'll be kind of a completely crazy, mixed like over pour cup kind of thing. Let's see, have I ever tried PVC glue to thicken the colors? No. I don't know if I'd want to do that. That's water-based, so that may work in certain resins, but I don't think I would add any water-based anything to urethane resin. It's probably going to foam. I don't know. I don't like putting random weird chemicals together with resin because we're turning it. If you're just making a thing in a mold, that you're not turning or doing it, like whatever you take out of the mold it's just sitting on your desk. That's one thing. But when you start sticking things on a lathe and they're high, spinning at high speeds and doing all this stuff, you really don't want any instability in the blank because it could just shatter in your face. So I don't really do a lot of that kind of stuff. I mean, I might have done things like that, doing Dunkin' junk or something, but like I'm not doing that kind of thing and then like selling the blanks. That would worry me. If I was doing it myself, no, not a big deal really, but most of what I'm making I'm selling, so I don't get too crazy with things. I don't even really like, a lot of people, when you're talking about like a mold release, I don't even like using anything but like a mold release made for resin because it just could react with the resin, and you have to watch out with dyes and things. So I haven't done that. If anybody tries it, let me know how it goes. Oh, wait, did you say PVA glue or PVC? I don't know what PVC glue is. Yeah, it's the Uber Fun cup. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. PVA glue, maybe I'm missing things. Isn't that like wood glue, PVA? So I'm not sure if there's a different thing that's PVC glue. I don't know. It'd be an interesting test, but I don't think I would do that a lot. You can just wait. That's the other thing. You can just wait. I think, again, thoughts are going through my brain. I would either just choose a thicker resin. There's lots of thicker, resins out there. One that comes to mind is Amazing Clearcast or Amazing Clearcast Plus. A lot of the epoxies are thick anyway, so you can just pick a thicker resin. Or, like I said, you can just wait longer, and it's turning from a liquid into a solid. So at some point, that's why we wait for a certain temperature, is it's getting thicker. So the only issue at that point is timing and stuff. Do you have enough time to do whatever you're trying to do? But I don't know. I don't want to poo-poo your idea. That's not what I'm saying. A lot of times also I want to mention things because, you know, someone may say, oh, let me try that. And they don't really know what could happen, you know? So I like to mention things that, like, I don't necessarily have a problem. I would try it myself. It's just I don't want people to be like, oh, let me go get some random glue and stick it in my resin and see what happens without knowing, you know, that there could be a reaction or something could happen with that. So. Yeah, PVA. So I'm not sure if there's a PVC glue. Solvent glue. Put on with that one. Oh, PVC glue. Oh, like PVC pipe glue? I don't know. I have never tried that. I would be really worried about the chemical mixtures going on there. I have to look into what's actually in those things. I don't know. I'm just not sure. So another way to thicken your resin, this will affect it in other ways. Generally, it'll kind of soften it, but you can also add like cornstarch or talc or silica. Fumed silica is another thickening agent. And these are all things that these are fine. They're not going to have a problem. The only thing I will say is if you're in a really humid climate, talc picks up moisture, right? So, and I think I found this out. Like I've had, you know, cornstarch and talc and different stuff in my shop, and I was actually trying to see if I could fix some bleeding that was going on with certain colors with my blanks, and I pulled out a cornstarch bottle thing, you know, tub that had been open for quite a while, and I've done this with baby powder, but I'm pretty sure there was like a ton of moisture in this stuff, and it just literally the resin just foamed. So again, you got to watch out with moistures and things like that. So I would, if you're going to do it with a new, you know, sealed thing, and just do it right away. So we need about 94. I don't care if this is like perfect. It's not, I'm just getting a general idea on the first cup, and then I'll just wing it on the next ones. These don't have to be perfectly even. Just in the ballpark. That's kind of what I'm going for here. Try to get as much out as I can. Okay. So we got some cups. Let's get our stuff in here. So we get, oh man. See, oh my God, is almost done. So we're doing a half teaspoon of each one of these. I'm going to actually just, well, nah. Never mind. I'm not going to do that. I like to wipe off the thing. A lot of people, like cocoon blanks, they just dump the stick in the next color. I don't know. Probably not going to change it drastically, but I'd rather just not. So I wipe off the spoon between. There's the khaki color. Not truly a khaki color, but that's the name of it. I'm sure it means something fiery and orange and Japanese maybe. And then I'm going to do 2 drops of red, 2 drops of orange. Scientific measurements. And again, the orange is just bringing this down. The red transparent dye from Alumilite is usually pretty, like a cooler tone of it. Yellow, you know, yellow would have worked fine too. Because like orange is basically yellow and red. So I don't know. I could have just done some yellow, but that's fine. But as you can see, that is like see-through, transparent. I don't know why I'm stirring these. I should have probably just waited. I usually wait. Okay, yeah, so PVA glue. Yeah, that's a water-based glue, and I don't know, like you can't put acrylic dye or paint, acrylic paint in Alumilite. It's gonna cause a reaction because the urethanes hate moisture, and even epoxies don't love it. So anything that's a water-based thing, just be aware that there could be a little bit of a reaction. But even with that, like, I don't even know if it would, like, one of the things that I'm thinking of with that is that I think people use that as like a separator kind of thing. Like it doesn't stick to it very well, the resin. So that's where I'm kind of a little bit worried where, you know, you start sticking this stuff in the resin. I've never tried it, so I don't know. I'm just thinking aloud. Because I'm sure that other resin casting channels, I think, like I said, I think I've seen people do that, but we're talking about people that are doing jewelry stuff, cabochons, and the things where you pour it into something and then like whatever it is what it is. Like you're done. You just pull it out of the mold and that's the thing. Not something that you're going to machine. And I think I saw people using it to kind of like, where it doesn't stick, it's like a separator kind of thing. I never watched any of the videos of those people doing things with that. So I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what happens. I would just, you know, my main concern is like if somebody else is going to do it, just be aware that there are things, like it may not really work too well, and be careful turning it. Definitely mask up. Oh, speaking of masks, next Wednesday I get my what's it called? What the heck is it called? Power cap. Finally ordered a power cap. I'm super excited. I've wanted one for a while. There was rumors that there was some other company that was maybe going to come out with one. And I was kind of waiting to see, but then that was not in the US. And I'm like, oh, the tariffs probably wrecked that. So I'm just not going to wait or mess around with it. Then it came down to, I don't know what the other one is. The one that looks like a space mask. It's like pretty bulbous. And I tried that on and it's cool and it's a little cheaper and it's also made in Utah, which is cool. But I really like the power cap for what I'm doing, for what I want to use it for. I think the lightness of it, that's what sold me. I'd rather pay a little bit more and get the kind of sleek, lightweight type of deal. So I'm excited to try that out. And it'll be great on the lathe. I mean, that's not the reason really that I bought it, but it'll be really nice to have that powered air, you know, airflow face mask thing on the lathe. A lot of what I'm using it for is like sanding and like the table saw actually. Fully enclosed mask. I tend to, even with like, I have like glasses, like safety glasses that have like even a gasket around it kind of, and I'm still able to get little particles from pen blanks in my eyeball. Like it's happened like 3 or 4 times, and like that scares me because those things are sharp and they just get embedded in your eye. And if you can't get in, like if I can't get it out myself, if it doesn't come out, like I got to go to the eye doctor basically. So I wanted something that was totally sealed to prevent that. I started wearing a mask thing, or like literally goggles, and a different mask thing. All right, so we're at about 87 degrees here. 89 there. I mean, we're pretty much there. I think I might wait just a little bit longer. 90. You know, when you're doing these types of things, you got to kind of bridge the gap between like, I'm looking at the viscosity of these things also. Yeah, I think we're probably there. I can do that. But you got to bridge the gap between like how much time do I have to get this done, get all these things poured in here and scraped and all that. But I also don't want to pour in resin that's like gonna just bleed, so you want like a certain viscosity, and over time you'll kind of be able to like look at, how's it coming off the stick. Is this gonna bleed a lot, or is it good to go? And I think we're good. I think we're ready here. So let's start dumping these guys in here. I don't know if I needed this gigantic cup now. I've got different sizes of these things, these split cups, but and I'm just, like I said, I'm just going to dump them together. I don't really care if this, so, as much as I'm talking about trying to keep these things like separated, really, I don't care that much. Like, it's not that big of a deal if they do become like kind of a homogeneous thing. You're still going to get variations regardless. So I'm not that concerned if there is bleeding kind of going on. It's not going to ruin the blanks in any way. We're still going to get a very complicated color. Look at that word. That was like professional right there. Complicated color. But it's not just going to be a mica. We're not just throwing some Yamagata red in there and moving on with our lives. We're complicating this thing, and the hope is, I don't know for sure because I've never done this before. Oh, there's something chunky in there. Probably from my mix cup. Good thing that didn't fall in there. That's the one problem. If you don't pull out if you're just reusing mix cups, sometimes you might get a chunky in there. Just be aware of that. That's why I usually didn't do it before in the past, but every once in a while you get a chunky. If you don't pull out the stuff. Okay, I'm just gonna get these guys out of my way. I got plenty of time, I'm not worried. I just don't like things in my way. Looks like we got a little bit more blue than red. That is the one thing about the way that I poured that without having like even, making every cup even. That could happen. It's not going to be a problem though. We're still going to get the same result. I'm just going to, yeah, I think we're about there. Actually, I'm going to wait just a little bit longer than I normally would. I don't want to mix this up. Usually, this is the one problem that I have with doing this. For me, it's easier, like I like to mix up the cup before I take the temperature, which is problematic when you don't want to mix the resin up, right? Doing something like this. That is one drawback to the way that I do things, but I think it's a better, more accurate way of doing it, at least for me. So I'm just kind of taking the temperature on the surface. It's probably higher than this. This is reading 97. I'm actually going to wait a little bit. This is not going to take that long to fill these things. But if I just kind of, yeah, I think we're probably there. I'm trying to see what the viscosity is, but I don't know if you can see these colors. But see what I mean? It's complicated in there. That's not just like, oh, there's, Bahama powder or Yamagata red or something. So I think we're ready to pour here. The one thing about this is you see the blues coming out quicker. So I need to kind of, if you rotate the cup to kind of get it like even. I'm hoping this works the way that I'm hoping. The blanks should have, you're not going to, like I said, you're not going to get like a perfect 50-50 split, but I'm hoping that we will get a mostly half and half kind of blank. And some of what dictates if you're going to get that to work or not does have to do with the temperature, the thickness of it when you pour it. So you kind of want to be actually at kind of a high, like a thicker amount, or a thicker viscosity resin. you're better off being thicker to try and get that separation. But even if that doesn't work out the way that I wanted, even if these, you know, maybe a couple of them get a little bit more mixed up, as I go, you know, I would say at least the second row that I started pouring, I could definitely see that there was like a red side and a blue side. It feels like I'm running out of resin here. Even if they didn't mix, I think these are going to be probably pretty cool blanks. I don't know. All right, do I have enough? I should have enough resin. Pretty close. All right, oh, let me top this guy off here. I like to pour a little over because when you pressurize this, all the air bubbles are going to leave and then the volume is going to go down. So if you need blanks that, you know, are 5.5 or 6 or whatever your mold depth is, you're going to need to like kind of overfill them to get a full blank. Otherwise it'll kind of drop below the surface if you just make it level. All right. You see what's going on here? Switch cameras and we'll drop this guy in the pressure pot. In the trusty California Air Tools. Yeah, I think these are going to be kind of cool. Kind of a Superman vibe too, actually. Add a little yellow and it's definitely Superman. My thumb's feeling better today, which is nice. Still think it's, I don't know, I think I tore a ligament in my thumb. I just hope it's not completely torn, because that would really require surgery, and I don't want surgery. I'm gonna be very honest. All right, so a couple things that I do to these cups at the end. I like to clean off the mouth. I don't care about all the, you know, whatever's left over on the inside of the cup. You know, that'll just build up over time, and, you know, basically the volume of this cup, how much it holds, is going to diminish as time goes on. And that's fine, then I'll just print a new one. However, one thing that I find is the way, I don't like the design of these cups particularly. I wish there was more, like, I don't know. I wish that the mouth was different, kind of. I don't exactly know what the best way to make it would be. But this is very tight, it feels like, and I think that you could kind of maybe have like a little bit wider mouth to where a little bit more of that resin of both sides, or, you know, and there's 3 slot cups and different stuff. I would kind of like it if it was a little bit bigger, more, not just at a point, like maybe a little more rounded. So I think that would be, that's a way for, you know, if somebody wanted to design something, I think that would maybe make these a little bit better for what we're doing here. But because this is kind of like the way that this is, I like to clean this, because if a bunch of resin starts building up there, then you're kind of just totally losing the mouth completely. One thing you could do also, that I could do, is maybe try and like shave this little division thing down just a bit, but I don't know. Anyway, a couple things that I don't know what the real answer is, but just wanted to kind of share that. Main thing is I like to clean that mouth. And I learned that lesson. Like, I mean, even after just one pour, I found that the mouth didn't work as well, just having some stuff build up there after like 1 or 2 pours probably. So after that, I started cleaning that thing off. And I want to wipe my stir sticks off here real quick. I like to reuse them without having a bunch of resin on them. So, pardon me as I clean my stir sticks. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that, and maybe it'll give you guys some ideas on something to do yourself. You know, there's so many different ways to kind of you know, do kind of the same thing, but like change it up. And one thing I also want to mention is that idea of using translucent, like combining in a dirty pour, the way that I did that, that idea actually I got from Jonathan Brooks. He did a video with Fig Boot. If anybody's into fountain pens, Fig Boot is kind of he like reviews fountain pens and does all this stuff. Big fountain pen guy, but he was on Fig Boot's channel, Jonathan was, and he did a pour and kind of showed how he does his pouring. This is a while ago, many years ago, and I'm sure that he's got other secrets and things. It's probably not all the information on how he does his stuff, but he mentioned that like he likes to put a bunch of different colors together and kind of create his own colors kind of thing. And I think he even mentioned, like, even if he was just going to throw one mica powder in there, he doesn't really just use an off-the-shelf color. And you can, you know, whatever, that's fine. You know, either way, I don't think that everybody needs to make their own colors. I'm not sure how much that matters. Really, I'm not going to do that all the time. However, doing the mixtures will provide unique colors. You can put things together like that and make it a dirty pour. And the looks and the blanks are they're going to be different than if you just threw in, you know, Yamagata red into resin and then dumped it into a mold. Having those, there's going to be little striations and different things going on, and it just adds a little bit of interest, complicates the color. So anyway, hopefully it'll be useful to you guys. Let's see here. I'm going to... Yeah, okay, so I just want to make sure I'm not missing any questions. If anybody has any questions, like I said, this one's going to be kind of short. We're only doing an hour today, only one pour, but that's all that I came up with. Okay, yeah, using them on mold. I think what they're doing is they're putting it in the mold, pouring it on there, and then the stuff just pops off so that they can maybe add other elements, like pour over, like fill in those spots. That's what I don't know, because like I said, I've seen like thumbnails on YouTube of something like that using glue, and they're, you know, of course they're like making it all mysterious. But my thought was it probably doesn't stick. The resin doesn't stick to it, so it allows you to kind of create like divisions and things, and then it falls out. So I'm not sure if it like thickens resin or not, or does anything. It may just cause problems. That's what I'm a little bit worried about. Oh, Mark, you got a power cap? Yeah, I think most people like them. Chad's, you know, mentioned, I don't know if you guys have seen any of the videos. They just did a deep dive, and this didn't really sway me. I already wanted the thing, but they did a deep dive with the guy that like basically designed it. And it was like a 1 hour, like a podcast thing that they did on the Turner's TV channel. And it was amazing. The guy is like super knowledgeable, and he was talking about all kinds of stuff, some of the history of like how these things kind of came about, like what all the features are, what the dangers are, why do you want to wear respirators, which I know a lot of that, you know, after, you know, almost 20 years of doing woodworking stuff. It's been a high topic with the dust collection and all that kind of stuff. So I have a pretty good idea, but I learned things from him that I didn't know even, and I have a pretty good knowledge of like the dangers of, you know, air stuff and all that, air quality. So David was asking, does the power cap have a respirator in it? I don't exactly know what you mean by that. I mean, it's an air filter, basically. It's like, think about it, it's like the Trend, you know, it's like a face shield with filters. So respirator's a heavy question, but it's basically the same. I mean, get rid of the one thing that you don't get is like, there's no organic vapor cartridges available for the power cap specifically. There's other models that you can do all that kind of stuff with that are a little different, but the power cap is basically just like a face shield thing, but it's just basically a baseball hat looking thing. And it has your filters. So it filters your like, you know, N95, and actually I think it's like an N97 filter. So it's a little bit better than that, but so I don't know if that's what you mean by respirator, but it's also powered air on your face so that you're not like sweating and doing weird stuff. And it's also a positive pressure. That's another thing that I really like. You know, you can put on face masks. One of the biggest problems, and he mentioned, I knew this before, but I mean, these are great, but I have facial hair. It doesn't seal. Like if you have facial hair, these things are not working. They're not sealed, really. So that's the biggest problem. That's why I really wanted one of these things where it goes around your face. You can have a beard, you can have whatever. Plus there's a positive airflow pushing air out of the mask rather than letting it suck in. So it's a pretty cool little deal. I mean, the drawback is they're expensive, but they're also like way cheaper than like the trend ones with the power pack and all that thing. And it's not heavy on your head. And he covered that whole topic, the weight issue. It's a pretty cool thing. So, you know, I'm going to link to the video, the deep dive. God, I got a toothache. I just had dental work done. It's really, thought things were going good. That's not what I want. I want the YouTube. I'm going to go find a link to this video. I definitely, if you're at all looking into this thing, this type of stuff, it's good information. It's not necessarily that I'm recommending the power cap. There's lots of different options out there, but the power cap's a good one. There's actually some new ones coming from this company that are a little bit different and maybe even a better choice possibly. What am I doing? Share. So, you know, it's worth, how long is this? It's about 45 minutes long or so. Definitely check it out. You'll get lots of questions answered. And they have other videos on that. There's also another one that's like I don't know what it's called. It's got a big bulbous face thing. A little bit cheaper, like I said, made in Utah. It's a good one too. There's lots of these out there, you know, basically. But from what I understand, like the trend ones and like 3M makes them, they're like $1,500 from those companies. And like, so even at, you know, even at half that price, which is around where the power cap is, I think you can get the simple version. You're probably better off getting like the kit with the extra filters and stuff. But even at like $700, if you're serious about this, and it's a good investment if you're in a dusty shop, like this thing will be a very safe product to use in your shop. It'll be a lot better than any other mask thing out there. Right now I use RZ masks, and those are, how much filtration you're getting out of that thing is very sus, honestly, you know, because it doesn't seal that well either. So, you know, I have a really good dust collection system, so that helps me a little bit, but I'm still not getting 100% filtration. This thing will do that. And if you don't have like a dust collection system, this is the answer. Like this will solve your problem basically. Like it'll be the best option out there. So, you know, how much money is it worth? That's the problem. But there's more expensive ones for sure that don't even really work as well for what we're doing typically. So let me, that's enough about the power cap. Let's see. I don't think I missed anything. Nice. I can't wait to see what Calvin makes. Dentist on Monday. Yeah. I hadn't been to the dentist. Probably shouldn't say this on live TV. I hadn't been to the dentist in like decades. And I was like, oh, I should probably do this. So I went and they're like, oh, you're okay. I was like, really? So they went in and they had to fix a couple things that like previous fillings that cracked that were like from like when I was a child. And they did that and I don't know. Tooth kind of hurts right now. It was fine earlier. I don't know what happened. Yeah, you know, the dust collection thing, the dust issue is, I mean, it's really, you really want to protect yourself. You know, and he was even talking about, you know, for like woodworkers, a lot of people, well, even for us wood turners, you know, a lot of people are allergic to cocobolo, I think it is, and rosewoods and things like that. And and this is, I think, what it is. He was saying that there's there's oils in it, you know, and I think we all kind of know this, but there's like oils in it and people get allergic. Like Rebecca DeGroot, is it rosewood or cocobolo? There's some wood that, like, I mean, if it's like in her vicinity, she breaks out in a rash. So there's certain things like that. And he was saying that some of these tropical exotics, they have oils in them as well, which if you breathe that in, it lodges itself in your lungs. Like, it's not coming out ever. And like the fine particles don't really come out either from your lungs. That's dangerous, you know. And if you want to be as safe as possible, these types of filtration systems are definitely the best, you know. So anyway, let's see. Peter, where's Peter? Oh, Pete. Oh, that's what it was. Peter with Peak Safety. Yeah, it was a really good video. He was very, very good. So, and like I said, there's other options out there, and he was even talking about that they're coming out with a cheaper version or a cheaper option of one of these types of things, so you don't have to drop tons and tons of money on them necessarily. And it was basically the same thing, like a the same idea, but a little bit cheaper. And like I said, there's that. I'm gonna look it up. I keep saying this thing. I can't remember the name of this other one. It's a good option, and it's only this other one is only like $500 at Turner's Warehouse, I think, something like that. Microclimate. That's the other one. And it's like this big bulbous kind of thing. I tried it on. It's not that bad. I like the Power Cap better. It's a little bit sleeker and lighter weight and just not as kind of in your face kind of thing. But the Microclimate, yeah, it's only $4.95. So that's a pretty good deal. But the Power Cap is only, like I said, it depends on which one you get. How much is the Power Cap? So I got the one that was like 700 or something, like 750. I know I said I was going to stop talking about it, but I think they're really cool. Okay, so yeah, I paid $728 and I got like the bundle, and it's got like extra filters and things. So the other, if you just want like the Power Cap itself and not the extras, it's $627. You know, none of these numbers are cheap, but they have another one. I think it might be this one. Cool Air Paper System is $4.95. That was, I think, the new one that they came out with. Turner's has that too. So I don't know. They got a lot of options, and you know, again, they're not cheap, but it's good to have these kind of things. So anyway, you know. So I hope that you guys enjoyed the stream today. I can't wait to see how these blanks turn out. Hopefully, like a lot of things coming together, but I think that the intricacy of the colors nailed that. That I think worked out really well. You could just see it in the cup. I hope that we got like a decent kind of line separation where there's kind of a hot the fire and the ice going up. Probably not going to be perfect, but hopefully we got a pretty decent, little line going there where it's like kind of a split blank kind of thing. That'll be kind of an interesting, I think that'll be kind of an interesting thing. Then we'll turn one of these guys up next week and see what we got, see how they turned out. And then, these will be going into the Pen Blank Club boxes, of course, for next month. So I'm trying to get ahead of the game on we did 2 of them and shipped them out early. So I think if I start now, this was like the schedule that I needed to be on time with the Pen Blank Club. So I think we're good. So anyway, let's see here. Oh, you're wearing the safety. Yeah, the safety glasses with readers are awesome. Fit over the no, the Power Cap will fit with glasses and things. I'm pretty sure. The bulbous one definitely, because it's not even, but I'm pretty sure the Power Cap works with glasses and all that kind of stuff. I think that's not a problem. The microclimate thing, that thing definitely. If you need to wear glasses or anything like that, although I know you can wear glasses, so I don't know that there would be a difference. You don't need to wear safety glasses underneath these things. They're a protective face shield. So it does two things. It's a face shield for turning, like if it's an impact resistant face shield. So not only is it saving your lungs, it's also saving your mug if something comes off the lathe. So you don't need to wear safety glasses with these things. But if you do have to wear glasses of some sort, they work with them. I would say that I think I'm almost 100% certain that it does either of them, any of them. Glasses shouldn't be a problem at all. Like no problem at all. I know actually they mentioned it in that thing, and Chad wears, he said that he wears his glasses and it doesn't affect them at all. The glass also, the face shield thing is all like I don't know what he covered it. Well, go watch that video. He covers all the aspects of all these things. And it covers all the bases. Like I said, it's a decent amount of money for the average person to just drop. But like Marquetta said, how much is your health worth? I mean, that's, we spend a lot of money on tools. This one will keep you in the shop spending more money on tools down the road without having any issues. So it's a good value, I think. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the day today. And like I said, we'll be back next week and turn one of these blanks up, see what we get. Hopefully it's good, and it should be pretty fun. So anyway, thanks for tuning in today, and I'll see you guys all on the next